The Eternal Dalek was one of the 5 original Paradigm Daleks created by the Progenitor device, and went on to become a founding member of the restored Dalek Empire when the Paradigm Daleks went back in time and rebuilt their race following the Time War, restoring the Daleks to the universe. The Eternal was unique among its fellows in that it was a singular unit, not a class of Daleks like the drones, scientists or strategists. The Eternal's distinct status from the other Paradigm Daleks could be identified by its coloration. It was the only one of the 5 to have black sense globes instead of the usual grey, which when combined with its yellow coloration gave it a livery that warns of danger. The Eternal Dalek's purpose was initially a mystery to most, as it rarely spoke, communicating primarily through the pathweb. Theories suggested that the Eternal Dalek was some kind of temporal advisor to the Supreme, designed to avoid or avert Dalek defeats using its temporal knowledge like the Time Controller, or perhaps that it was an advisor or contingency unit designed to ensure the Dalek's survival for all eternity, similar to the Time Strategist. However, the Eternal Dalek's true role was that of a Dalek historian, as it was programmed with knowledge of all previous Dalek campaigns, schemes and defeats, and it was particularly concerned with harvesting information about the Dalek timeline from the Doctor himself. The Eternal travelled to Stonehenge as part of the Supreme Dalek's entourage, intent on trapping the Doctor in the Pandorica, but this timeline was ultimately undone when the Pandorica reset the universe. When the Parliament of the Daleks was established, the Eternal Dalek was not present in the main parliamentary chamber alongside the Paradigm Supreme and the Strategists, suggesting that it was not a member of the ruling council. When the Daleks' memories of the Doctor were erased, the Eternal Dalek was seemingly afflicted with this as well, as it and the Dalek Prime Minister spent centuries scrutinising the records of Dalek history to try to explain their many defeats, which stalled their war machine. The Paradigm Daleks would eventually reach the conclusion that they had won the Time War, as there were no other Time Lords left in the universe, and the Doctor would later encounter the Eternal Dalek on Madruth during the Paradigm's renewed conquest of the universe. The Eternal Dalek pursued the Doctor, eager to integrate his knowledge into the pathweb, but although he was captured several times during the campaign, his companions were able to free him before the Eternal could extract anything of use from him. In response, the Doctor assumed the mantle of Predator of the Daleks, and vowed to wipe out the Daleks to prevent a second Time War. The Doctor tricked the Paradigm Dalek commanders by trapping them inside a pocket universe. The Eternal was trapped in the ruins of the everlasting empire of Erefor alongside some time spiders, and the pocket universe then collapsed, destroying the Paradigm Dalek leadership, including the Eternal Dalek, once and for all. While the Paradigm Daleks were previously thought to have met their end at the conclusion of the Siege of Trenzalore, Big Finish's Victory of the Doctor box set not only sheds light on the Dalek Eternal's true purpose, but also explains the final fate of the Paradigm, being tricked into conquering a pocket universe that is then destroyed, meaning that the Dalek flagship from the time of the Doctor is, according to this story, not the Parliament of the Daleks, but is in fact a later Dalek command ship controlled by a Supreme Dalek. So, after years of speculation, we finally know what the Dalek Eternal was for, and what happened to it. Its role as a Dalek historian, tasked with cataloguing and scrutinising the Dalek timeline, is certainly an interesting one. However, such a role does have some overlap with the previously described roles of the Strategist and the Prime Minister. Compared to the theorised roles of Temporal Advisor or Contingency Unit, its historian role seems quite lacklustre. What do you think of the Eternal Dalek's role? Do you like the fate of the Paradigm that is described in Victory of the Doctor? Or do you prefer the previously assumed end of the Paradigm at the Siege of Trenzalore? What role would you have given the Eternal? Let me know in the comments below.
Don't forget to click below to subscribe to
Dalek Bumps.